just wanted to make sure that
I am Tom Mazcko. I am a Associate Principal at Alliance Architecture. We first found Green Oasis online, actually. We were initially looking at moss wall solutions for projects where our clients didn't necessarily want a water component to a green design. And so through that, we saw some of the moss offerings at Green Oasis. We started ordering samples from the team and then started to work on lots of different design ideas. And then that expanded out into living plant walls. In a lot of cases, sort of one of the biggest costs associated with doing either a green wall, any kind of living plant wall, is going to be the plumbing that was in. And years ago, we had done some where they are hard piped in, not with Green Oasis actually. We had done some where they're hard piped in, filter fabric in the back, you had water running down, there was a large drain, arrangement and detail at the bottom. It was incredibly expensive. And so when Green Oasis mentioned there is an option to do a pod system that has a completely enclosed PVC plumbing run, that was incredibly attractive because we could really just integrate those details right into the surrounding millwork. So it all looks built out and thoughtful. And at the same time, we don't have to run permanent water lines, drain lines, all of that. It's also, without having that permanent water line there, it's much less of any kind of a flooding hazard or ongoing maintenance issue there. It's all a closed system. And, a year after installation, it seems to be working perfectly. There haven't been any issues, and the wall looks even healthier today than the day it was installed. So I think Green Oasis has a superior product to some of the other green vendors I've used in the past. Some of the early green walls that we did with other firms, there always seemed to be quite a few maintenance issues with them, whether it was plants dying off, issues with the plumbing system, electrical issues. Lighting has come a really long way in the last 13 years as it relates to plant growth. And so, I know in some of the other systems, we've changed the lighting systems out several times. So it seems like today it's just gotten a lot simpler. And all of that infrastructure, the cost has gone down, making this a far more attractive option for our clients. One of the nice things about working with the Green Oasis design team was that they were a partner all the way through the process. We started out with a few ideas. They helped us expand on those ideas. We then began to render these solutions in some of our early schematic renderings. They took that a step further, rendering multiple options for us on this project. We explored multiple solutions at the Hannon Armstrong project, starting with some moss designs and ending on the living wall pod design. But working with the team there was incredibly efficient. We would jump on a number of Zoom calls, we would go over different ideas, and then we would bounce files back and forth so that we could very quickly produce a realistic rendering of what this was going to look like for our client. At the same time, Green Oasis was great at helping us generate the necessary details, so elevations, sections, information about the closed system PVC plumbing. All that information, even in the early schematic design phase of this project, would go to our general contractor for pricing input. And that's really how you sell this to a client. You need to show it to them, and they need to understand how it works, and then they need to know the cost. And when all of those things align, you have a great solution that they're going to enjoy in their space. There was never a moment during the design presence where I thought we were hamstrung by Green Oasis not being local. They were able to provide all the support that we needed through our Zoom calls, phone calls, over the internet, getting us files back and forth. And so, that wasn't an issue at all. So Hannon Armstrong elected to use a local plant maintenance provider to do all of the ongoing weekly maintenance with their other plants on the project, as well as the new green pod wall. And so the wall looks spectacular. Like I said, it looks even better than I think it did the day that it went in. And so I think that it speaks to how great the system is, where another vendor can come right in, maintain these plants, and after a year, they're looking healthy and are thriving, and there haven't been any issues. I think Green Oasis did a really nice job of identifying cost for the wall itself, their portion of it, as well as providing a schedule of ongoing maintenance costs that would be likely. This is information that the client needs to determine if this is a worthwhile investment for them. So all that information was laid out up front, and that helped them, pull the trigger on going with a living wall. It's one of the centerpieces of your first experience as you come into Hannon Armstrong's office. And so it was a big part of that design. As we were thinking of the different elements in that space, some of the seating areas, the circulation through there, we really wanted the living green wall to be a focal point. And it took a lot of work, a lot of back and forth. There were many different designs that we kicked around. In this case, we've got the plant wall with a number of different types of plants represented, custom lighting solution, and all that's integrated into a custom millwork piece. So a lot of different ideas, a lot of different pieces and parts had to come together to make that happen. And it's definitely, something that any new visitor seeing the office for the first time, they're going to mention that living green wall. It's one of the showpieces of your experience here. On every project, you're going to be trying to figure out the best way to spend your dollars. I think that investing in these green solutions, and in particular, my favorite are the actual living walls, it creates a texture, a range of colors that you can't recreate with any man-made materials. It changes from season to season. The plants can come in and out, which is amazing. They grow to different lengths and all of this, so the wall keeps changing over time, and I just think it's a whole different element than any kind of a static material that might replace it. I think that the investment that the client made into this wall has paid off many times over. So I think the feedback that they've gotten from their staff, feedback that they get from visitors, they just can't be happier with the decision to move forward with that. And in particular, I think they just love this pod system, and that was kind of a change to the design that came in a little bit later in the game, but I think they're incredibly happy that they made that switch. And every day they walk by it, I think it's a reminder of, in particular for Hannon Armstrong, they work in sustainable energy investments, and so it's a living reminder right there in front of them of some of the great work that they're doing to, promote lots of different green practices throughout the world. One of the things that I appreciated the most with Green Oasis was the ongoing support and the ability to pivot or work on a slightly different option throughout the design process. So what I mean by that is there was multiple renderings that needed to be done for the different options being considered. We needed a lot of feedback on the infrastructure for that system, how that integrates to the rest of the design and the millwork piece, looking at shop drawings, reviewing that back and forth, and Sheldon and Stuart were there every step of the way to help with that. And so that was key. And a lot of that stuff's time sensitive, so we can't sit on a millwork submittal for 3 weeks. We need to get that done. We found the team to be incredibly accessible and responsive in getting us the information that we needed in order to coordinate those other design elements around the green wall. It's funny, today more than ever, you don't even know where the people you're working with are located. Really up until installation on a project like this, maybe a little bit of field survey work, that's the only time where you need a site presence for a design like this. And so, working with Green Oasis, it was incredibly efficient. As the local designer, we could do a lot of the field work here, get that information back to the Green Oasis team, and then we would kind of tag team that design together. And the install went fantastic. There was no issue there. So, I think that even with the maintenance, whether you're going to use Green Oasis or use the local firm to do that maintenance, it's been seamless on this project. And so there's been no issue at all working with a company based out of Texas to do this work. And when site visits and site coordination was necessary, the team's been out here and getting that done. I'm always concerned that the wall is going to be an ongoing maintenance issue and that it's not going to thrive, right? So I've had that happen on older living walls that are previous plant walls that I worked on, not with Green Oasis. I've had sections die out. Typically, it's not because of a lighting issue or something. It's because something in the works of the drainage and water delivery gets gummed up, and that's kind of the key problem. But at any rate, obviously when that wall, if the wall fails, if there are sections of the wall that aren't doing well, start to die off, it's a big red flag for the client. Obviously, they kind of get upset. They question whether or not they should have made that investment. And a year into this wall, it looks fantastic, and I've gotten nothing but compliments and rave reviews from Hannon Armstrong on the wall. So far so good.
Awesome.